on the Gopher Sports Network from Learfield. This is Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson. Now, here's the voice of the Gophers, Mike Grimm.
And we're off and running. It's another edition of Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson here on the Gopher Radio Network. Glad to have everybody along, except Justin Gard, and we're okay with that as well. Second straight week, Coach. He's leaving us high and dry here.
He's ducking us.
He's ducking us for sure. Last week he had women's basketball play-by-play duties. Today he's got women's basketball TV show taping that thing right now. That'll air tonight, I think, on Fox 9. So hopefully JG will be back with us next week after what we hope will be a successful road trip to Wisconsin and Maryland, which we will preview a little bit later in the show. But first things first, let's review one of the tougher losses, I think, in recent memory last night in terms of so many good things that your team did to potentially put themselves in a spot to maybe win the game, and then things leaked away, and then you got it back, and then leaked away. And when it was all said and done, it turns into an 89-88 double overtime loss. And I know there was disappointment in your voice last night in our post-game radio interview, so now you've slept on it, assuming you got some sleep. I don't know how well you sleep after a game like that. What are the emotions like today now, the night or the day after that game last night?
Yeah, you get a chance to watch it again in the morning and take some of the emotion out of it from watching it the night before, directly after. And it's the same kind of stuff. You play so well in so many areas. You kind of the guys deserve to come out on the winning end, and to not be able to do it, it just makes it tough, to not have those guys be rewarded for the work that they put in and the execution that they had and how hard they played for majority of the game. That's the tough pill to swallow. But at the same time, you got to find some positive that you can build on, and these guys gotta understand that you just gotta roll with the punches. So it's like next day and get ready for a really tough game on Friday. But I thought they took a step in a lot of directions in a lot of areas that we needed to, against a really talented and hungry Ohio State team, and we'll be able to definitely learn from that game.
Yeah, and in regard to that, and you've talked about this, taking steps and these guys learning what it's like now, life in the Big Ten. So you're through 4 games in a 20-game schedule. 20%, 1/5 basically of the schedule is now complete. So there's 80% still remaining, which means there's opportunity still await you as the season continues. So what is that line that a coach walks between, like you say, grabbing at what you liked once emotion is removed, and then also handling the emotion of it, not just maybe for you as a tough loss as a head coach, but trying to make sure your team responds in the right frame of mind?
Yeah, I think that is the biggest challenge, is because there's so much going on, on the outside too, that you don't want that to creep in. You don't want doubt from the outside world to creep in, because the reality is, they obviously have played well and have continued to get better, and eventually that's going to pay out. And my, I guess, greatest lesson through all of this, doing it and playing, is you never know when the payout's going to come. But if you don't work, it's never going to get there. So you got to continue to work, continue to fight, and show up every day. And I think we've got guys in our locker room that are kind of built like that. And so now it's just continuing to take all those steps and finally get a breakthrough.
As a coach, and I know each game probably in terms of how you handle it and then how you present it to the team, there's a wide range, a wide spectrum of how a coach can respond to wins and losses, right? There might be a loss that would upset you enough to where you're screaming at them. There might be a loss where you played well enough where you're like, listen, guys, keep doing this. Where does this one fall, would you say, on that spectrum for you in terms of how you wanted to handle it and have handled it?
Well, I think it is a fine line. And I don't know if necessarily screaming for some of the things that we did late game that kind of put us in a tough position is the answer. I think it's more, showing them obviously on film. And it's not only just the result that we might have wanted to change of a certain possession, but, the trickle down effect that might have after that possession. So it's more teaching. You got to continue to teach. You got to teach. You got to teach. You got to demand. You got to demand. You got to demand. You got to get them to think that they can go above and beyond what they might even think. You got to instill confidence in them when they might not even have it. So I think it's going to be one of those where, there's going to be some lessons that we need to watch and see, and definitely continue to stack in our memory bank so we can use down the road and continue to build. But you also can't, break them down where now they have no confidence because they did enough to win that game. And so now it's figuring out the little tweaks that we need to do that are better and the execution that's better and showing them the big picture. But I think we made like 12 threes. I don't know a game where we've made 12 threes.
Yeah.
We out-rebounded them, took care of the ball in 2 overtimes, only have 12 turnovers. You did a lot of it without, your leading scorer and your veteran player in Dawson Garcia, who was in foul trouble. And then they did a good job defensively, limiting his attempts. So he has 5 points and other guys stepped up for the scoring. So there's so many other things that you can take away, that we've got to make sure you can easily lose sight of that and get caught up in just the negative, especially as a coach. But the negative's got to be teaching, and then the teaching's got to be positive reinforcement.
Yeah, and how about in terms of looking at the, and this is a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true, the big picture in the sense that, and you've talked about this in terms of building a new roster, each game there has been progress, and I know, there are certain fans that are just ticked off because the wins haven't come, but if you look at how you build it and how you're hoping the progress goes, I would just watch it. I'd say you got punched in the mouth against Michigan State. Oh, geez, the Big Ten's different. And then you come at Indiana, first road experience. Okay. Purdue, tight game you mentioned for 34 minutes, another step maybe. And then last night, a winnable game that you couldn't quite get, that you played much better in. So do you take some coping mechanism with it, looking at it that, hey, look, if you just keep taking these steps, these W's can start coming?
Yeah, I think you have to, to a certain degree, and I would agree. I think Michigan State showed that was our first Big Ten game, and so there was a lot of holes coming out of that game. I thought Indiana, we were a little bit better than we were versus Michigan State, but still there were a lot of holes. Well, I thought Purdue, we were better than we were at Indiana for extended minutes and put yourself in chance, or give yourself a chance in the second half to make it competitive, but there were still some holes. But then I think the Ohio State game was better than Michigan State, better than Iowa, or better than Indiana, better than Purdue, obviously. And so every game is progressively getting better. The holes of negative plays or plays we needed to correct have gotten shorter. The confidence, has grown game by game with each individual player, I think. And so now you just got to get the breakthrough. You've progressively shown that you've taken steps. You've learned from the situation. You learn from the game. I think guys are as confident and comfortable, hopefully in league play as they've been. And now it's the breakthrough.
Yeah. And when even within the game last night, there were certain opportunities where really both teams had chances to seal games, and it really didn't get decided, until that second overtime. And even within that second overtime, Al and I on the radio broadcast were talking, they jumped out. What did they score? The first 8 points. I think they hit a 3 and then a 3-point play and then a bucket. And I mean, I think I even made the comment. I'm like, you can just see the gas is out of the tank. This is a long game. We're going to play 50 minutes. And these guys have emptied the tank, and yet it looked like they got a little bit of a refill, and it's a one-possession game with a chance, and looked like you may be forced to turnover in the corner in front of you, no call there, and who knows what happens. And I know there are many other issues which we'll get to, but even within that part of it, it was there. I mean, it was right to the end, but even when it looked like the tank was empty, they still dug deep and made more of it. No,
the effort was definitely there. And, to your point, even when it was bleak and you could easily fold it in that second OT, whether it was timeout or whether just being tired, whether it was feeling defeated, they didn't, and they kept the fight. And so I think were able to do that because of past experiences. They understand you don't quit, right? And regardless of circumstance, you keep fighting to the end. And so that was another step in that direction, that there is no quit, and they're starting to make that really become who they are. And you have to have that. You have to embody that if you're ever going to even give yourself a chance or be in position. And so it's good to see that growth of this is what competitors do from start to finish.
All right, so I've got to ask you about free throws, right? I mean, that was probably the big talking point coming out of the game. It just, for whatever reason, 12 for 27, including some misses late. I think there were 3 different double bonus situations, and if you make them both, the game's probably put away. And I think the Gophers are 0 for 6 in those situations with some of your better foul shooters. It is what it is. They end up making, was it 28 for 31, 29 for 33. So it's 17-point swing in a 1-point game at the line. So that, I mean, the simpletons amongst us will say that's it. That probably cost you the basketball game. I don't know even how to phrase the question, because I watch you guys practice free throws every day. I know you practice free throws. We've talked about it before. So how do you try to improve in that area?
No, we obviously have to, and we've gotten to the point probably a month ago where we've openly talked about it, as a team. You look at our schedule and our records probably cost us, a handful of games for sure. And the free throws and the ones late, don't necessarily, it's not all on that guy's shoulders, but when you take them collectively, and you go, I think it ended up being 44%, in a game like that, those empty possessions that you have, we need all the points we can get, and those are free points. And so we've got capable shooters. We got capable free throw shooters. And, we just got to be able to block out whatever distractions we might have, and knock them down. But I think it's a case of, for all the people that talk about it and want to know why, it's part of it is sports. Part of it is sports. It's different. You can be the greatest free throw shooter in the world. Your percentages could be through the roof. And when you go up to that line with game pressure on, it's a little bit different. And unfortunately, yesterday we weren't able to come through, but that doesn't mean down the line that we won't and we can't. And so now I think it's getting back in the gym. It's getting back to the free throw line. It's trying to find different unique ways in practice to simulate more or different game type pressure free throws, even though it's still different. And that's what we'll do. You can't hide from it. You can't duck from it. I don't want our players to hide from it and duck from it. The pressure's there. It's real. That's just part of playing Big Ten basketball. And so I want them to have the mind frame of attacking it. And the next time that opportunity presents itself, to go through their routine, be calm, block everything out, and have confidence that you're going to make them, and not to worry about what happened in the past. You can't change that. You can't correct that. That's when I think sometimes it really messes with the mental when you were worried about previous outcomes. You got to somehow separate that, and this is a different coin flip, and I got to attack it that way.
Have you, in your time, either as a player and now as a coach, and just observing, like there are guys in the NBA that's their living that, for whatever reason, I mean Shaq, right? The old Shaq-a-hack, that became a slogan and you can't tell me Shaq wasn't practicing hundreds of free throws a day, right? And sometimes you just maybe have guys that aren't very good at it. That said, in your experience as a player or coach, what can you do to try to improve just pure percentages from guys? Can you make a guy who's a career 60% free throw shooter or 70% free throw shooter, and certainly not overnight? Or how do you try that?
Yeah, you can. The hardest thing is, I think with anything, if you're good at something, it's easier to go from good to great than average to great. Like that's just. Yeah. You just don't see it very often, right? So when you've got good free throw shooters, there is a chance, you can make those guys great or elite. If you got guys that have historically always struggled from the line and are not good free throw shooters, I don't know if you're ever going to make them great, but there is room to make them good, where maybe instead of 0 for 2, it's 1 for 2. if you can start chopping it and think of it that way, and at least you're getting some points out of it. It's just hard if you go there and you get an empty possession from the line, because even at one point, it's either a momentum stopper, starter. It can just help you maintain something, but it's just also seeing the ball go through sometimes. And I think it's just like 3-point shooting. When other guys are making shots, it's a momentum thing. It's a basketball gods thing. That ball has energy. When guys are missing shots or missing free throws, that puts more pressure on the next guy, because it's like everybody knows, God, we got to get one to fall. We're 0 of 7 from 3. We got to get one to fall. Well, now everybody feels that. And it's the same thing at the line, especially when you see your better free throw shooters. So, it's one of those deals where it is a mental thing way more than a physical thing. You talk to any coach or anybody that's played, it's a mental thing 99.9% of the time. And again, you can shoot them here at AV, which we do. You can shoot them on your own. You can shoot them at the park. There's nothing like when you're at the line and there's game pressure. And so that's the mental piece that, we'll continue to work on and build. But I don't want our guys to have that doubt. And again, there's technique is one thing, sometimes if a guy's really shooting a poor percentage, you look at, okay, is there something he's doing in his routine that we can change up or fix? But for the rest of our guys that shoot it great, now it's just more of going through your routine and having that belief.
Yeah, and you think about the situation last night, literally on paper, your best 3% guys were the 3 situations we talked about. I mean, that's what you want as a head coach. And like you say, it's sports and it happens. Those 3 guys in particular seem to me as guys who aren't going to let that ruin them. Like they're going to want the ball late in the game Friday night, right? I mean, it seems to me.
Yeah, and I think, that's the other hard part is, hey, nobody's trying to miss them.
Of course not, right?
That's the thing you want to tell everybody is like, nobody's going to line saying, I don't care about these. Those guys want to make them. They want to make them more than any fan out there. Because there's the ones that put in the time to get to that point, but they're living with the result, good or bad. This is what they do. So those guys want to make him. And I think the 3 guys, there's probably no worse feeling than the end of the game when you feel like, man, I could have done maybe a little bit more, and you want to play that next game like right now, like tomorrow. And not only that, you want to be at the line to redeem yourself like right now. And so I know those guys are definitely thinking that, when can I get back to that same situation and deliver?
Yeah.
Because they know they can.
Well, and Garcia put away at least 2 games this year at the line late in situations in the non-conference, so it's not as if he hasn't done it. It just so happened that he missed a couple in that regulation portion of the game last night. And I think, too, when you look at it, there are guys, not necessarily even with the Gophers, but you look, they know, and they might shrink late in the game, like, okay, I'm not going to make myself totally available here. Let's let somebody else, and that might be smart. Those 3 guys don't say, I think they're going to say, give me the ball. I'm ready. I'm going to make myself available in a key situation.
Oh, no question. I think, for our team in general and as a whole and myself, like there's no 3 guys I'd rather have on the line.
Right.
And I'd do it again. Dawson goes to the line, Mike goes to the line, whoever. Those guys go to the line, you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't change anything when it comes to that. I want those guys in those situations with the ball in their hands with a chance to win it.
Yeah, and Lakai was, I think, one of those situations, too. Just, guys, 74% of the year, right? And doesn't hit him. So it's one of those days, and you hope you recover from it. All right, enough on free throws. We don't need to talk anymore on free throws for the day, and hopefully better luck come Friday night in Madison. Let's take our first break. We're overdue for that. We'll come back. We'll keep talking about a couple more good news things from last night, and then look ahead as well. It's all straight ahead. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield.
Dear winner, Toyota can't get enough of you. Because Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. And that's more than any other auto brand. From the versatile RAV4 to the Svelte Crown, the sleek Camry all-wheel drive, the Corolla Hybrid all-wheel drive, the rugged Tacoma, the tenacious Tundra, and the spacious Grand Highlander with all-wheel drive to keep you and yours safe. Hey, you bring the action, we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Based on manufacturer's websites as of 10/20/24.
Do you know how plastic bottles become shirts, shoes, or backpacks? What happens when your recyclables leave your curb? Can they really become something new? Visit WM.com to learn how WM helps turn your plastic bottles into everyday products, giving materials a second life. WM has the recycling infrastructure, innovation, and expertise to serve our Twin Cities community and care for our planet. The recycling process starts and ends with you. Visit WM.com to learn more.
You want the best for your child. So does M Health Fairview Masonic Children's Hospital. As the Twin Cities' longest-running, top-ranked children's hospital, many of the world's leading medical experts just happen to come with the most caring hearts. This combination of compassion and expertise is why Masonic Children's Hospital was once again recognized as the Twin Cities' top-ranked children's hospital by U.S. News and World Report. World-class, kid-focused care is available for all. Learn more at mhealthfairviewpeds.org.
Are you looking for concert or sports tickets? As a local Minnesota company, Ticket King is a company you can trust. They have seats to fit every budget and even offer parking or tailgating passes, and all tickets are guaranteed. Each order is personally attended to by one of our dedicated customer service representatives who are committed to providing you with a courteous, professional, quick, convenient experience. Visit us at ticketkingonline.com or call us directly at 612-341-4131.
Hey, Gopher fans. Ready to show your true colors? The University of Minnesota Bookstores has everything you need to gear up for game day. From the latest maroon and gold apparel to exclusive Gopher merchandise, we've got your fan essentials covered. Visit us in-store at Coffin Memorial Union or shop online at bookstores.umn.edu. University of Minnesota Bookstores, your one-stop shop for all things Gopher Pride. Sky U Ma.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner. We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors. With more brokers, buyers, and offers, Sunbelt gets owners more than the market average.
Learn more about this True North company at sunbeltminnesota.com.
When we say that Cub milk is the freshest in town, we mean it. Less than 48 hours from farm to store fresh. We guarantee 7 days or more of freshness. It all starts with local dairy farmers who take great care in making sure all the cows are happy and healthy. We support local farm families 365 days a year. And that makes our milk even more delicious. So you always get the freshest milk and the biggest smiles.
The University of Minnesota teams and traditions are legendary. Our team at Strategic Wealth Designers are proud to be a partner of Minnesota Athletics. What an honor to be working together. When you're ready to discuss your financial future, call the team the Golden Gophers Trust. We look forward to creating your winning strategy for retirement. Visit us at swdgroup.com today and go Gophers.
Playing the Minnesota Lottery is exciting, so here to tell you all about it is me. And to make it more exciting, I'll be using my movie trailer voice.
In a world where we all crave more play in our day, one woman's journey leads her to the convenience store. Coming this year, scratch games from the Minnesota Lottery. And you're going to want to play because anything can happen when you say, I'm in. Must be 18 or older to play.
No matter who you are or what you do, there's a Ford vehicle that can help you own the day. Make life on the go feel like a breeze in the new Ford Explorer. Make tough tasks look easy with the powerful performance of a new built Ford Tough F-Series truck, the best-selling trucks in America for 48 years. Or take your adventures in the great outdoors to a whole new level with our Built Wild family of Ford Broncos. Whether it's for work or play, there's a Ford with a great deal waiting for you at your local Northland Ford dealers. Don't wait. Get behind the wheel of a new Ford today, based on calendar year total sales.
Welcome back. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson. Mike Grimm along with the head coach, Ben Johnson, here. We are from the Gopher practice facility. Hey, we want to let you know you can visit the University of Minnesota bookstore, and there you'll discover the area's largest selection of U of M and Golden Gopher apparel and novelties for fans of all ages. From the latest fashions to traditional favorites, the University of Minnesota bookstore is your one-stop shop. Visit online at bookstores.umn.edu. You can visit in person as well on campus at the Memorial Union. All right, so a few more things to dive into following the game last night, an 89-88 double overtime loss at home to the Ohio State Buckeyes. A couple of, there's many performances we can point to, but I want to talk first about the freshman Isaac Asima, who scored a career-high 18. Definitely played, maybe, I don't know if it was his career-high in minutes, but it was awfully close to his career-high in minutes. And, man, I thought he, in addition to scoring, just played a really smart floor game and matched one of the better guards in the conference and maybe the country in Thornton.
Yeah, I thought Isaac was phenomenal to play and weather 40 minutes. To do it also on the defensive end with, one of the better guards in our league for sure, who's physical, who's older. First time around, in high-level game pressure situations to get us in our offense, to attack, to score. Only had one turnover. And he's taken such improvement and has such confidence in his game. 3 or 4 from 3, stepped up and buried shots when we needed him. I thought he was awesome.
I thought generally your guards were a little more aggressive in trying to get into the paint last night. Did I observe that correctly? And was that by design?
Yeah, we had really talked about in this game of dominating the paint, both defensively on the backboards, and just in our normal defense in the half court, but then also offensively to not settle, to get to the paint, to drive the ball, to live at the rim. And I thought our guys did a conscious effort of that, not giving in to, their particular defense, and just keep playing downhill, keep playing on the attack, and, again, finding ways to be the aggressor.
As a freshman, as Asima is, and you were a freshman once as well, is that one of the adjustments you have to make, is getting comfortable going into the paint as a guard with guys that, let's face it, the guys that he faced last night are bigger than the guys he was facing in Cherry, Minnesota, playing that schedule. So is that an adjustment to get comfortable with that and to feel confident? Last night he went in with no trepidation at all multiple times.
Yeah, I think it's getting comfortable, and I also think it's, the more games you play, getting comfortable in when to go, when not to go, and then also when you go, like, all right, is this one I can get all the way to the rim, or is this one when I can feel a secondary defender coming over and I got to get my floater off, or I got to pivot, or I got to jump stop and kick out? I think all of that just comes with experience and time, and so I think he's realizing that, as you get closer to the rim, your window shrinks. You got to be a little bit more crafty around the rim with your finishes and what that looks like. But we've all seen him. He's got a burst. He can get his shoulders by. He's got every type of finish you want because he's got size and athleticism at the rim. And now he's playing downhill and playing with that confidence attack mode, which is really good to see.
Yeah, he had a great game. Probably, don't you think, his best as a Gopher so far? I mean, he's had good ones, but
yeah, for sure.
That game last night was great. And there were a couple, I thought, sneaky moves with Patterson also in the paint where he was just posting up and backing Thornton and a couple of guys down, and he got a couple of good looks out of that because he's got some strength of some core there that he can utilize. It looked like kind of a sneaky good move there a couple of times.
Yeah, he does. And same thing for him. I mean, Lukai logged 47 minutes and did it on both sides of the ball, and to see him again 4 assists, 1 turnover. I think he's number 2 in the country in assist to turnover ratio. I think he's figured out ways to impact winning, not just that have to do with scoring and shooting, but getting teammates involved, setting teammates up, again, getting to the paint, kind of creating and causing havoc. I think now it's back-to-back games just from the offensive side where I think he's really elevated his play and he's gotten more comfortable these last 2 games than he's probably been all year. And so to get him to continue to do that and make plays when they're there, 3 of 7 from 3 is a good percentage from him. And so I think our backcourt with Mike and Femi, those guys did a really good job. a really good job. Again, 12 assists in 50 minutes of play. We'll chalk that up all day. The more possessions that we have with opportunities to score, we're not just giving the ball away, the better for us.
Right. You mentioned Femi. Any update today on how he's feeling?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, there's nothing broken. He just took a hard shot against the railing, so there's a little bit of bruising, and obviously it's tender. And that was the hard part about him. I know he wanted to go back in, and there's a difference. And, when you're the coach, you got to make that decision of, okay, could he go back in? Possibly. But can you go back in and be effective, especially in a game like that? That's as physical as it was. And, the time he was going to go back in, it was going to be for KB, especially when Dawson fouled out. So now you're asking him to physically defend the 4 in front of the post. When you got sore ribs, and you got to defend the post and try to front, and every single defensive touch is physical. You're not on the perimeter in space where you're not getting banged, but you're going against physical contact in the post. I think that was just asking a lot and putting him in a tough situation. So as much as he wanted to play, that was just a call I had to make. And again, I thought the guys that were out there, battled.
That was looked like a pretty heavy hit there. I mean, that was a concern for a minute. I think we all kind of stopped and held our breath for a minute. What were you thinking as you walked over there to attend to your injured guard?
Yeah, no, he took a direct shot. I mean, right on the rib area on those metal railings, right off the floor. And I think anytime you're going at a decent speed like that and you make contact, I think you get just naturally scared. So I think that was the first thing. It's in his mind. He's going, wow, I felt like I hit a brick wall, but then I think, you have to obviously knock the wind out of him, and you're trying to gather your breath, and you're trying to breathe. But then just the bruising. I mean, those ribs it's a sensitive area. So any movement you make, you could just be walking and your arm could go back farther than it normally does, and boom, you feel it, right? So any type of movement when you have a rib cage or a bruised rib area, it lets you know, and it's painful. And again, thankfully, there's nothing that's too severe. It's just going to be a high level of discomfort, And again, I thought Femi had another good game of setting the tone early with just our ball screen defense and packing the paint.
Yeah. You guys still have those kind of that padded, under shirts or whatever, the combat gear stuff?
Yeah, we'll steal some from PJ.
Use that. I don't know if you can use the quarterback flak jacket under the jersey, but something there maybe extra that
if it's allowed, we're going to use it.
We're going to use it.
That's the thing is, obviously Femi's a big piece of what we do and whatever we got to do to protect him, because we need him out there.
Yeah.
And we also need him out there where we're not putting him in harm. But that was just another adversity that, again, you can throw these guys and say, no Dawson, no Femi, we're still in the fight against a Big Ten opponent. I don't care who you're playing, but against a talented Big Ten opponent, that's got to speak a lot to their character and the steps that they've taken.
I want to ask you about Parker Fox, who scored his career high as a Gopher. He had higher point production at Northern State. He had 39 and as a career high, but 21 last night, scored the first 7. His energy continued to be, I thought, infectious, even late, even after Femi goes crashing into the railing there. He was flying off the floor trying to save a ball and blocking shots and doing what he does. I thought, especially on a night maybe that Dawson just wasn't seeing the ball go through the basket, he was a key piece in almost pulling that thing off.
Yeah, and he made his free throws.
He did,
5-7.
Right.
So I think for him, that was big, because one of his values is being able to attack the rim off the bounce. And you want that to be able to pay out for us as a team. It does no good, obviously, to have a great skill and be able to drive by guys and get to the rim and get fouled if you're not converting. And that was a step that he took yesterday, was not only was he able to get an advantage and get downhill and get by guys and attack the rim, but then when he got fouled, to go and be 5-7 for the free throw line. So now, you're able to be, and our team's able to be rewarded for a good play. But his energy was great. Again, when you can rely on kind of guys that have been in that moment, is a good thing, without having Dawson out there, a guy who's been in that moment. Mike and Fox, I really thought in different parts stepped up and kind of manned the ship because they've been there before.
Even, and then, we know Parker's a confident guy, no doubt, but the one point where he thought he was fouled on the shot and then it was on the rebound, he looked disappointed, like legitimately disappointed he wasn't going to get a chance to get to the line, and Betts ended up going to the line. But I thought that was, for a guy who had struggled at the line, but he has worked on it. His shot definitely looks better. Yeah. He was disappointed that he wasn't going to get the chance to shoot those.
Oh, no, 100%. I mean, he's a competitor. And again, if you're a competitor, you're not scared of the bright lights. You want those bright lights. And I think that was a definite case of, Fox trying to take the initiative and get to the line. And he's going to the line not to shoot them, but he knows he's going to make them. And there's a big difference there.
All right, let's take another break. We'll come back. We'll keep talking here with the head coach. This Friday, it's a Friday, Monday. The Big Ten, the men's schedule this year has gone to a lot of Friday, Monday. I know, I think Maryland's going to do a Friday, Monday along with the Gophers here. Minnesota, of course, will see Maryland on Monday here coming up. So let's take a break. Stay with us. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield.
August was
More with Golden Gopher basketball coach Ben Johnson. It is Gopher Basketball Weekly. Mike Grimm with you. JG is off. He's got women's basketball duties here today. Hey, each week we're giving away a $25 gift card to the U of M bookstore. Visit the sign up to win page, gophersports.com, or visit, let me do that again, gophersports.com/U of M bookstores. Sign up and you have a chance to win each week a $25 gift card. So it's Wisconsin Friday, a little bit of a NBA-style road trip for you guys this weekend with a Friday, Monday game. So you finish that game Friday night. No use coming back for a few hours only to hop back on the plane to head out to Baltimore. So from Madison off to Baltimore, and then the game on Monday back then Tuesday night. So let's start with a quick scouting report on the Badgers, who are 12-3, 2-2 in the Big Ten. They got a nice road win last night against Rutgers, and I know there's still some time here between now and Friday, but what's the early look here on the Badgers?
Yeah, just starting to dive into them here this afternoon from my standpoint. But, I know they're playing at a little bit better pace, and they're shooting the ball really, really well right now. Not incredibly deep, but play, 6-7 guys and are really efficient, but they're getting back to really being able to shoot the basketball from 5 spots, which makes things tough depending on who they have out there on the lineup. When you can spread a defense out, with 5 guys that can all shoot it from 3, that puts your defense in a bind, and we know they're always tough at home. So we're going to have to be at our best to give ourselves a chance Friday. 21 made threes they had in that win last Friday against Iowa. I looked at that. We were in Charlotte for the Gopher football game, and I'm thumbing through some scores, and I won 16-85. And I joked, I texted the Wisconsin play-by-play guy. I said, Bo Ryan's got to be wondering what happened to his once proud program, scoring 116. What's going on there? But as you said, they you make 21 threes, you're going to win most nights. Yeah, I don't think you're losing many. You're making 21 threes at all. And they got the capability of doing that. Again, we're going to have to really be on it with our 3-point coverage, because, twofold, especially on the road, you're battling that element, but, to have to play catch up, it's got to be a game of twos. We aren't designed to battle and be successful against a team that, like them could put in the 80s or 90s. So we've got to be smart with our play and smart with our pace, but definitely point of emphasis is taking away the 3.
Yeah, and they were team 2 that got hit a little bit with the transfer portal with some guys that were some of their better players leaving, and then they were able to, find some guys, and Tanji looks like he's playing at a pretty good level right now.
Yeah, Tanji's the big one, obviously. Oddly enough, didn't play much at Missouri at all, and started his career off at Colorado State, where he's a pretty good player. And for whatever reason, I know he was injured a little bit at Missouri, but just was out of their rotation. And goes to Wisconsin. Now has probably been for sure playing his best basketball. He started off his career as probably a 4-3, and now I think he's a true 3. But he's strong, he's aggressive, he's just got a knack for scoring.
And we mentioned this road trip. Can there be some benefits to it, just getting away for a minute and bonding as a team? I know you had that experience in Orlando, a multi-day trip. Is there some benefit to that?
Yeah, especially when there's no schooling session. I mean, it's, for these guys, it gets real quiet, you know, whether you're in the apartment or just around campus when there's no student life. So it's always a good thing if you got to go on the road, be around each other, spend some time together, you know, and hopefully become a little bit tighter unit by the time we return.
6 o'clock is that tip-off on Friday from the Kohl Center. We'll take air at 5:30. Let's take another break. It's our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap the show up. We'll talk a little Big Ten basketball when we come back. Stay with us. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you. Because Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. And that's more than any other auto brand. From the versatile RAV4 to the Svelte Crown, the sleek Camry all-wheel drive, the Corolla Hybrid all-wheel drive, the rugged Tacoma, the tenacious Tundra, and the spacious Grand Highlander with all-wheel drive to keep you and yours safe. Hey, you bring the action, we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Based on manufacturer's websites as of 10/20/24.
Midland Hills Country Club is well known as one of the finest golf clubs in the Twin Cities. The club has totally renovated its classic Seth Rayner design course back to its original design. Enjoy a meticulously maintained course and experience what Midland Hills Country Club has to offer. Midland Hills is conveniently located in Roseville, just 10 minutes from either downtown. A limited number of memberships are available. The club offers a great golfing experience and a comfortable social atmosphere. Visit midlandhillscc.org.
You depend on CenterPoint Energy to deliver energy for what matters most to you, your neighbors, and throughout the land of 10,000 lakes, so we can all make a better tomorrow. That's why we're investing in the latest technology to reduce emissions, offer rebates on qualifying energy-efficient natural gas equipment, and provide energy-saving programs that help save you money. Look ahead at centerpointenergy.com/futuremn.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. See Home Club for details.
Man. Coach, Minnesota and Wisconsin on Friday night, 6 o'clock in Madison. We'll take air at 5:30. We have a couple of other quick notes. We want to thank Dan Robotham, our on-site engineer here on campus. Darren McDermott is our producer. And thanks to Michelle Train-Traversy as well for helping us get everything coordinated and locked in here for this one. As we get ready for this road trip, I wanted to ask you a little bit about just the general rotation. We've talked about that for now a couple of weeks in terms of one of the hardest things I suppose a coach has to do is figure out who to play, when, who gets minutes, who doesn't get minutes. And you've kind of talked about it here for a couple of weeks that you're starting to dial in and even talking with guys about what their role may or may not be. So how do you feel about maybe where you're sitting with that part of it right now?
You know, I feel relatively good. You know, I think the toughest group is our bigs, the 5 men. You know, there's 3 guys for one spot. And so, you know, with that, it kind of comes down to, you know, after that first rotation, kind of who's in the rhythm or what we like, you know, what the other team has in as far as just their certain packages. You know, are they big? Are they small? Are they physical? Are they athletic? And all that stuff factors in, but more of a rhythm of like how are our guys playing? You know, what type of, when they've been out there and what's our ball screen coverage look like? What do we look like offensively? Are we screening bodies? And then you kind of go through it from there. And then the perimeter guys, I think we're kind of in a rhythm. You know, we're playing 4. You want to maybe play 5 on the perimeter at the 1, the 2, the 3, but it's hard to get that 5th in if you're trying to give extended minutes to your 4 guys that are kind of in that set rotation. And so we're figuring all that out. The best part is what I tell guys all the time is, you know, everyone thinks things get determined in the game. there's only 40 total minutes that we know are going to be played in a game. And out of those 40, a guy might only get, let's say 10 to 20 minutes to prove himself. There's way more time in practice, and I see it every day. So we want to encourage the competitive practices. Those will set you up for the game. And if you practice really, really well, force me to make a tough decision when it comes to rotations.
Yeah, and we've talked about this too. Once you get in season, you've got the mandatory day off, you've got travel days, although you practice often on travel days, and then you worry about legs, all that stuff. So how much can you as a coach know, like maybe we're not giving them the whole deal today, but I can tell who's going and who needs minutes and who, maybe hasn't lived up to what they should in terms of minutes, and determining that just based on practice.
Yeah, I think the good thing is we have all these devices that help test, and we've got a good nutrition team and obviously sports science team and training team and weightlifting. We all kind of collaborate and figure out, all right, where our guys at, who's run down, who's not, who can go longer, who can't, who's pushing themselves, who's not, and then you got the eye test. So I think the biggest thing for coaches is it is more of that eye test and that gut feeling, and understanding the flow of each game and how each game and each opponent is different. There's different units that might give yourself a chance to win a game. And so it's just understanding that. It's across the country. We play Purdue and they don't start Cam Hyde, who's from here, and he started every game of the year. But it's a matchup thing. It's not personal against Cam, Payne's got no agenda other than to win the game. But he knew against us, going against Dawson, he probably had to go smaller. It just happened to be the one time Caleb started, and it happened to be the one time they played here. So, all of that stuff and those outside factors kind of go out the window. As a coach, when you're figuring out your rotation within your game plan, it's like, all right, for this game only, to win this game, who puts us in best position?
Still looking at that Big Ten standing stack. I was joking this morning with some guys. You'd get on your phone and you'd have to thumb it 4 times to get all 18 teams to figure out where everybody is. And I know I asked you this in the pregame last night. I was thumbing through the TV over the weekend, and Illinois had Washington, and I'm like, that's a conference game. It just seems so strange. UCLA, I forget who they were playing, Maryland maybe, I can't remember now, and it just seems so strange. Nebraska, that's what it was, and that's a conference game now. And we talked about it last night. It's exactly even now. There are in this 18-team league, after results last night, 7 teams are above 500. 7 teams are below 500, and now 4, and talking Big Ten records only now, and 4 teams are right at 500. So you think about that, the margin of error in terms of standings, if you can turn what might be a couple of losses into a couple of wins, that can move you from 11th to 3rd. I mean, that's what 2 games will be different in that kind of stack. So we're all kind of getting used to this.
Yeah, no, especially, early in the conference season, there is so much parity. Normally separation doesn't happen till later on, and separation can happen for a number of reasons. It could be a good team just separates themselves because they've gotten better. But, this year travel is going to factor in. And, come February, those teams with time zone change and travel change and going there and then back, that's going to factor in. Health and injuries always factor in. So sometimes the good teams that get on the roll in February are the teams that are the most healthy, because you can take advantage of that versus teams that aren't. So a lot of moving parts this time of year, and it's only going to get tighter.
Yeah, and this weekend, as you mentioned, or we talked about, it'll be a road trip. There'll be a road trip next month out to the West Coast to take on the 2 California schools. I see Oregon is coming to Maryland. They will face the Terrapins before you guys face them. Think about that trip. You're talking about Eugene, Oregon, all the way to College Park.
It's not close from there.
That's a heck of a trip for a conference game, right? I mean, you think about the miles you're logging, and I don't know who is Maryland. Are they with Rutgers then, maybe, in terms of the travel deal?
That I don't know, but I just know, Oregon and Washington, when you got to go from that northwest and go across, even for a week, and then have to go back and do it again. I'm glad we're centrally located.
No doubt. We went from the outlier to now right in the middle of it. Remember Mark Turgeon when he was at Maryland complaining to me one time, we're doing a pregame interview, and he's like, this is the longest trip. And it was like like last night, Ohio State's leaving the place at midnight, their time, and now think if Mark Turgeon's there, he's flying to Seattle maybe.
Yeah, he's not happy.
Not happy about that. Well, hey, we'll see you Friday in Madison, Wisconsin.
Sounds good.
All right, there he is, the head coach of the Golden Gophers. 6 o'clock is the tip-off, and we will take air at 5:30 from the Kohl Center on Friday night. This has been Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
August was born 3 pounds, 9.8 ounces. When I first saw him, it was a whole range of emotions. There's stuff I still want to do. Being a young dad, it's not giving up. It is shifting. I looked through his eyes. I can envision the whole future with him already. To throw the first football to him, give him ice cream for the first time. My life is now devoted to his life.
Through all of fatherhood's firsts, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
On the Gopher Sports Network from Learfield, this has been Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gopher Sports Network.